Hey everyone, what we're going to be doing in this video is going over tutorials 10.1 and 10.2 from your Advanced QSAT book. This is going to require that you have the questions in front of you because I'm obviously not allowed to post the questions. So please do what you need to do to get hold of the questions and do them. I'm going to try and explain the concepts as much as I can while going through the answers. But as always, it is advisable and requested that you do have the question book with you as you go through it. Okay, so where are we going to start off? I'm just going to make this nice and big. Is in question 10.1, you were looking at the examples of Mrs. Good. If I remember right, yes. I have the book in front of me here. So 10.1 was another very, very basic example of how donations tax works. I'm going to be honest with you, donations tax is not going to get super difficult. So, because you don't have to work out those values of limited interests. So for the whole, this really needs to be a place where you can score marks. How you're going to score marks is by remembering the special things that are different, as well as remembering the basic format and approach and not ever getting it wrong. So in this scenario of 10.1, which actually has the solutions in the book, why I gave this one was to just again speak about the basic concepts. In part A, she gave a holiday to her niece to go overseas. Same as before, clearly not maintenance, but you do get your 100,000 exemption limited to actual. So remember, in this case, you will use the 40, okay, and the rest you will carry forward. So there's going to be no donations tax payable. Then you're told you gave some to the SPCA, which is a PBO, so that's obviously not going to have donations tax. You gave to your husband 50,000. Remember, any donations made to the husband or your spouse are going to be exempt. Then it says you donated 70,000 Rand to your son. And it says here you donated it to your son to invest. So this is quite clearly not maintenance. If it said you gave 70,000 to your son for living expenses while he was at varsity for the year or something like that, maintenance. But to invest, definitely not. So what you have to do is say, well, hey, it's clearly a donation of 70,000. How much of my 100 do I have left? And the answer is 60. So 70 minus 60 means this donation is 10,000 at 20%. So there's 2,000 Rand donations tax. Awesome. You were then told on the 1st of October that she got divorced in July and was required to pay her husband 20,000 Rand per month for the rest of his life. The accountant calculated this to be present valued at 1.5 million. She formed a trust, put this money into a trust, and left it there for the husband to get. Now, the key thing here, any donations, contributions, anything you give to a trust, anything like that, if it's in terms of a divorce settlement, is not a donation. You might be getting nothing in return, but you're giving it in terms of a divorce settlement, not in terms of a donation. So therefore, it is not a donation, and donations tax does not count. You're then told on the 20th of December, she gave 5 million, this woman is rolling in money, to each of her 2 children, but the donation will only take effect when she dies. Remember, this is a donation in respect of death, not a donation mortis causa, but in truth, it's treated the same way. So what's going to happen, because this only takes effect when she dies, it's not going to be subject to donations tax. It'll actually be subject to estate duty. So we'll worry about it then. On the 10th of January, she sold her car with a market value of 180,000, but she sold it to a friend for 100,000. So she's selling stuff here at below its value. So there's going to be a deemed donation on the difference between the market value and what it was actually sold for. So 80,000. There's nothing of the 100,000 left because you've used it all. So 80,000 times by 20, 16,000. Some things to think about. Remember, she never ever gets close here to donating more than the limit to move it up to 25,000. So you don't have to worry about that. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It was quite a basic example. What we then were asked was indicate by when the donations tax must be paid. In this case, it says the donations tax is payable by Mrs. Good at the end of the month following the month during which the donation took effect. I don't like this answer. This is very generic. It just gives you the theory. I would have actually wanted the dates. So the only two that have donations tax is this one and this one. So if this donation was made on the 10th of June, when is that donations tax payable? Well, it's going to be the end of the month following June. So that 2,000 Rand has to be paid to SARS by the end of July. All right. Doesn't make a difference when in June it was. It's the end of the following month. Same for this one. Because it was made 10 January, that donations tax is going to be due at the end of February. So be specific and say when it's actually going to be due. Okay. We move to 10.2. 10.2 is slightly different. Again, this is just a reminder. I said it in a previous video about the intro to donations tax and estate duty. In the textbook, you are going to sometimes be given questions that require you to calculate the value of certain things that's not in your syllabus. In these memos, I will be going through the way that it's done so you understand, but just remember you're not going to have to actually do it. Okay. So in this case, you were told you gave an annuity to your sister for her maintenance. She was 63, you gave it to her, and you were 69. You gave her 8,000 Rand a month for her lifetime. This is an annuity, you're going to have to value it. It's the 8,000 times by 12 to get to a yearly amount. You then use your age next birthday from the tables, but you don't have that, so I'm not too worried. I don't really mind what value you used. What I do care about is the fact that you can see that this specifically says for her maintenance. So to be truthful, I wouldn't actually really need you to work it out. I would just want you to tell me, hey, it's for maintenance, therefore it's not going to go in, or it will be exempted. Okay, so whatever the value is, you know that it's going to be exempted and there'll be no donations tax. You're told in point 2 that he gave a further annuity of 2,000 Rand per month to use for luxury items. Now, in truth, I don't know how you would ever do this split. I don't know anyone who gives money and says, oh, this is for food and this is for luxury. I would just say everything's for food and exempt it all. But yeah, they did it here. So theoretically, we know that this can't be for maintenance. So again, it can't be subject to the it can't be subject to the maintenance exemption. You'd have to work out the value. I know you're not going to be able to do it, or you should be able to do it, but you're not going to have to do it. So this value would have been given. But you do need to realize that, hey, if I can't use the maintenance exemption, I still have my general of 100,000 Rand. So that has to exempt from the 130. What's left behind? This 30,000 Rand. Okay. Theoretically, what I would think you need to do is to say that this 30,000 Rand is then multiplied by 20% and work out the donations tax, because it actually asks you in the required to say for each donation, calculate the value, show any exemptions that apply, and explain which exemption you have applied, if any. Okay, so that's why we did this and then exempted it, but in real life you could just exempt it. We move on and we see that John sold foreign shares that his father, a non-resident, had left him in his will for 200,000. He donated half the proceeds from the sale to his sister, who distributed the amount to her 3 children. So the key thing here, this is a sale of a foreign asset that you inherited from a non-resident. Remember, if you look at the exemptions, this is one of them. So this is not going to be subject to donations tax, either when you donate the asset or when you donate the proceeds of that asset. In this case, you sold it for 200, but it says you only gave half to your sister. That is the donation that is happening. And because you are donating the proceeds from that asset, it will be exempt and there'll be no donations tax. Great. You then told he retired from farming, donated the usufruct of his farm to his nephew Joe for the rest of John's life. Okay. So this is going to be the calculation valuing of a usufruct. As I said before, I'm not too worried about the actual present value. What you do need to remember, Full value times by 70%. Why the 70%? Because it's a farm. 12% to make it annual, and then by the value. That's going to give you the value of the usufruct. There's no general deduction because you've used it all, and that will go in by 20%. You're then told afterwards, John promised Joe ownership of the farm when he died. The farm is valued at 3.5 million. What you need to know, no donation has actually taken place because no one has died. So whatever the value is, doesn't actually matter because it's going to be exempted. Okay. Here's a bit of explanation, just what I've said before. I then said gifts given to friends, or I didn't say it, the textbook says it. Gifts given to friends during the year amounted to 10,000. What is that trying to trick you into? Remember, there's that 10,000 granted to companies for casual gifts. In this case, got nothing to do with the company. You don't have any of the 100 left, so this is gonna attract donations tax. And then lastly, you gave to a PBO, which is obviously going to be exempt. Add it all up, it's less than the limit, so at 20%. Some stuff that you have to remember, things that people often mess up. The 3.5 million is for estate duty, not donations tax, so please don't get them mixed up. Okay. Another question that somebody emailed me about that I thought was quite good. You have the apportionment of this 10,000 Rand if you don't have a full year of assessment if you're a company. What happens if you're an individual? Do you have to apportion the 100,000? And the answer is no. Because think about the scenario whereby you make a donation at the beginning of the year. You apply the 10,000, you apply the 100,000 to it, apologies, and you then die afterwards. You're not going to go back and adjust the donations tax on that because you died later. Donations tax is applied in the order of donation, not over a year of assessment. So for a natural person, you actually don't need to worry about the apportionment. Okay. The other reason why this works is that when are you going to apportion years of assessment for a natural person? When you are born, when you die, or when you're insolvent. Insolvent's a bit different, but if you're not born yet, you can't make a donation. And if you're dead, you can't make a donation. So you can't actually have any transactions when you don't have any more tax year of assessments. Okay, if that didn't make sense, don't stress too much, but it might clear up some things for you. Just remember, for the rest of this, you're not going to have to do or work out or look up these numbers in any tables. It will be given to you. Okay, and you can start to see that the same things start coming up. It's all going to be about identifying maintenance, identifying general exemptions, identifying foreign assets that may not be part of donations tax, identifying PBOs, and then just multiplying by 20%. So donations tax not high up on the list of difficulty. If you want to try a few more difficult examples, 10.3, 10.4, 10.5, and yeah, I think those are the good ones to do from the textbook. The solutions will be on Canva. 10.3 and 10.4 are given in the textbook. 10.5 I will upload. 10.6 has VAT in it, so you can do it, but may be a little bit tough at the moment. All right, but still, try it, can't hurt. It incorporates other things as well. So yes, but these 1.1, 1.2 are the basics. They'll get you to where you need to be. 10.3, 4, and 5 are the more difficult integrated examples, and will be great if you can do those. Okay.